Good evening and welcome everybody. So the first item on the agenda this evening is apologies for absence, of which we have none. So welcome to everybody from the table this evening. Moving swiftly on to item 2, to receive the minutes of the meeting held on the 16th of December 2024 and the 9th of January 2025. I'd like to propose those. Please may I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comments or questions on the minutes around the table? No. Okay. Can I have votes to approve the minutes? Thank you. Everybody approved. Can we start now?
You were.
Thank you. Okay. Welcome, Councillor Darcy.
Thank you.
Right, so we're moving on to item 3, to receive any declarations of interest. Are there any new ones, items on the agenda? I have to declare at this point that when it comes to item 9, check and mead, I will be stepping out of the chair and I will be asking our Vice Chair, Councillor Mrs. Belty, to step into that item. I'm Chair of the Trustee. Any other declarations? Councillor Barnett.
I'm also a trustee of checking.
Thank you. Right. Chairman's announcements. Very briefly and poorly, I have none this evening. I have nothing new to add to the agenda or anything new to deliver today for this meeting. So, moving on to item 5, to receive the list of approved payments for December 2024 and January and February 2025. You've all had the report, you've all seen the expenditure. These are for approval, just for noting. Approval. So I would like to approve them.
Second that.
Thank you. Right, any questions now? Fortunately, we have Mr. Chambers in the room, so we can have any questions answered. We have any questions on the finances? Guests, please, if you have any questions as well, please feel free to ask any if you have any. Okay. We vote to approve the expenditure. Received. Thank you. Councillor Mr. Chambers, I'd like to thank you for preparing them as usual, and thank you for staying to attend the meeting. I'm sorry we've got no questions for you, because normally we have a ream of them. But we keep you here for ages, so thank you very much for your work. Again, item 6, we're moving on, Mr. Chambers' ream again, to the Town Council position statements. Has anyone got any questions for Mr. Chambers? I'm very formal tonight, Mr. Chambers. Has anyone got any questions? Yes. Town Mayor.
Yes, thank you, Chair. The balance of things, Dan, does that mean that we're back in the black in terms of the reserves?
Yeah.
No, yeah. Last year we were, but we've moved back in.
We never weren't. They were just lower than they should have been.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor Peacock.
Yeah, I've been looking at the local authorities property fund. We a couple of years ago discuss whether we should invest in that. Just wondering how it's going. Obviously, that's always gone on 4.2% return is.
Yeah, the yields are. I mean, they do fluctuate. Unlike with the National Counties Building Society and the Nationwide, that we have 175k in each of those. Yeah, the property reserve by its very nature does fluctuate. But I would say on average, the yields are pretty consistent of returning approximately £1,000 a month in interest. Yeah.
Okay. Any more questions? Okay, that report is for noting.
Noted.
quickly on to item 7, recommendations from committees. So it was resolved that in an ST committee agreed to commit £10,000 from the EST budget towards a consultation review of the town centre. This would be ring-fenced for potential future spend if funding from Mid Sussex District Council regarding the public realm was not made available. I can report that as of today, that £75,000 from Mid Sussex District Council has been approved. And to move forward with consultation reviews and for the public realm, which is all part of the shared services project. So that has been resolved in ST. What I would like to recommend today moving forward is that we keep that £10,000 that we did say to them, if they needed more beyond that 75,000, that we would still give it to that cause. So I would like to approve that we hold that in reserve for that spending and ring fence it for that amount. May I have a second?
I'd like to second that.
Thank you. Councillor Gibson.
Thank you. And just to clear one point on that, as I understand it, the Mid Sussex have appointed their own contractor to do that £75,000 a business, was in business improvement or district, is that the right term? I think it is, isn't it? So we don't actually have absolute control of £75,000.
No, pass that over to Sam because she was at the meeting.
Yes, we met with Caroline Duffy from Mid Sussex this morning and Lara, who is the person who is doing most of the talking. So there is £150,000 put aside for Haytooth and East Grinstead to use to investigate forming a bid if the business improvement district, if the businesses in the town want to, so that would go out to consultation with them, and also to cover investigations into improvements to the public realm. So it's not a hard split of 75 equally between both councils. It's about, we have access to a total of £150,000, both councils. So it's a case of whoever uses it. So Haytooth are ahead of us in their investigations into a bid, but we're waiting for their findings before we move that forwards here in East Grinstead. But what we did agree this morning was that we could use some of this £150,000 to spend on a consultant to investigate improvements to the public realm for our town centre. What's happening next is that Graham from the Business Association is going to start putting together a list of objectives for the businesses in the town that they would like to achieve through improvements to the public realm. And we're going to have another meeting at the end of April to, well, we'll circulate it beforehand, but to finalise those objectives with a view to Mid Sussex putting that out to tender with consultants to bid to do our public realm review. That was what was agreed this morning.
Well, thank you. I think that's very helpful and very clear to get some ideas.
Yes, so once we thought the Business Association should start. They've probably got the most pertinent relevant need for improvement to the public realm, but obviously we can also, Rex is involved heavily with Graham on this. We can also input our thoughts once we see what their first pass is. If that's okay.
Councillor Reddy.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Couple of points or questions really with regards to defined public realm. Is that High Street, London Road, or is that the whole of town?
I imagine it's the town centre. So we met with Lara from Mid Sussex before, and they've done a walk around the town and they've started at the train station. And one of the first things they noticed was that there's not enough signage to even get you from the train station down to the town. So it's taken into account that kind of thing.
Okay.
So it's not just the literal high street, but the area to direct signpost people around to come into town and use the facilities.
Okay, thank you very much. Just the last point was within the EST committee, there was a fairly comprehensive list of public realm
That report.
improvements, which would be great to
Okay.
take into consideration.
Yeah.
Plus also PJL, who are the consultants for the LC WIP, put through a number of very good public realm suggestions as well, which is all within that. So it might
That's
be
within that report.
the LC WIP.
Brilliant. Yeah, okay, we'll go through that.
Happy to help if I can.
Thanks, yeah.
All right, so we need to vote to approve that. Are we all clear what we're voting on? We're voting to ring fence that 10,000 to move forward to help with that. Councillor Whitaker.
Thank you, Chair. If I may.
Yes.
Yes.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, I'd just like to add a couple of big thank yous. One is to Graham Russell for the work that he's done as chair of the EGBA. He spent a lot of time with the district council officers and also to Councillor Gibson for his assistance in the working group, shared services working group, for his access to officers and others and pointing us in the right direction. Bid and overall assistance.
Yeah, I got the feeling that they spent all 150 quite in Haylow's Heath.
Yeah, thank you.
Fighting
Remind them that the North are here. Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Mrs. Belsley, did you have your hand up? No. Oh, good.
Just thought in my head.
Oh. Can we move forward to vote to accept that? Thank you. Right, the other recommendation from committee is from the A&T committee to have a structural survey of the boundary wall of the right side of the Queen's Road Cemetery to establish what remedial work would be required to make the site safe and secure. These work that would be essential before any efforts to improve the site and open it to the public were made. Officers had contacted several structural engineers regarding the boundary wall and had received 2 quotes. The committee considered the quotes received and approved instruction to ADS Limited to the cost of £7,050. So I vote to approve that. Please may I have a second?
I'd like to second that.
Thank you. Any questions around the table? I know some of you have been looking at Queen's Road Cemetery. We all had a visit recently. Can we vote to approve? Swimming. Thank you. Okay. Delegated decisions. This is for noting. A&T committee. The offer of a new bar contract to Rustic Bars, which has no expenditure value to us, but they recommend that we accept that new contract. So that is for noting. Excellent. But item 9 on the agenda is the Chequermead annual reports. Can you lead this item, please, Vice Chair?
The purpose of the report is to receive the annual report from the Chequermead Community and Arts Centre attached to your agenda as Appendix D. The report from Chequermead is presented to the Council at this time of year. Chequermead is the largest grant beneficiary of the Council, and the purpose is to ensure good stewardship of the theatre and Arts Centre in order to show good use of the public funds. In addition, the building is owned by the Council, and the report again gives satisfaction to the Council that the building is being kept in good repair. Councillors who are trustees will have to leave the meeting during this consideration. Councillors may ask questions in order to assist them with their assurances and also to take in the budget discussions regarding next year's grant.
I'll leave.
Can you remain in case there?
I can't leave. I know this says leave, but I'm going to remain here in case you've got any.
Any relevant? Is that okay?
Are you happy if I remain, everybody, please? Can you? Yeah.
Okay, so this is up for discussion. Anyone want to raise? Councillor Belsley.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the report, and I appreciate we're just here to receive it.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate all the work that goes in from the trustees and on our behalf as council, and much of the report's really reassuring, and it's great to see that income has grown during the year. Pantomime, big success, other events, big success. But if I'm not mistaken, I think the loss grew slightly during the year because the expenses have gone up. And I know obviously it's up to 31st March 24, and 24 was a very difficult, up to 31st March was a very difficult year with inflation and severe increases in costs, but the daily running costs have gone up by over a third. Advertising went up over 20%, and I know staff costs were up over 10%. And I know that obviously we appreciate there were strong underlying factors. I suppose my just concern is that we had a good year, we were building our income, and still the losses have gone up, and the costs are just, it's very difficult to manage. And obviously, I have the same with some of my experiences with the public sector within East Grinstead. So I suppose it was just asking really if the trustees are mindful of how challenging the cost side of the challenge is, but we're keeping an eye on it as close as we would like, and that we are still determined to try to make sure that we can get a balanced budget for the future for Checkham Mead. So it's really just to highlight that as a particular issue, notwithstanding all the really good stuff that's going
on. Thank you, Matt.
Yeah.
So the Apron is a trading company. Their profit, because they feed obviously work together, that actually has an income and profit. That hasn't come off that deficit tonight. So there's another 48,000 we need to take off that. So that makes it in a much better position. So that's one. The running costs were exceptionally high. The running costs were 45,000 higher, and that's predominantly energy. We are looking at new energy providers. We were in a contract. We're looking to get that. We're now we can look at changing that. That's something we're doing now. Moving forward, we're also looking at different forms of heating, etc. Because the heating is coming up. So there's some capex to do, but there's also some savings to be made along the way. The trustees are incredibly mindful. We've had an incredibly challenging year from March 24 to this year. So that's going to be, I don't know what that's going to be council coming up. So that's going to be a different story. We'll see where that takes, because the energy costs haven't gone down. The income has definitely gone up. So it is something that we are very mindful, but we very much appreciate the support of the council.
Yeah.
And we are very mindful that it is a community asset, it's a community building, and we endeavour every time that every decision is made, those thoughts are in our mind.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Just looking at the advertising costs, they've obviously gone up. So there's been greater activity, I'm assuming, in advertising the centre, the theatre, and its productions. Is that partly to explain why revenue's gone up? And what were the activities that we did?
The revenue has gone. The expenditure on the advertising, just the cost of the advertising, it was the same as we've done before. It had a natural increase. There has been more styles, the production's gone on, and different things in the theatre. So there's been more of things other than just productions in the actual theatre. The theatre building has had all sorts of hall hires and things going on, and room lettings and things like that, which has increased the
So I guess these accounts, because they're over 12 months old, they reflect the legacy cost increases that the economy was incurring.
Yeah.
Just to sort of reflect that I've been part of a group that's been examining the future of Hall in Haywards Heath, and the advice which has come back is that the business model that the Checkham Mead operates to is not sustainable, and therefore there is no logic in pursuing a similar arrangement for Haywards Heath, which has led to a lot of difficulty because the residents of Haywards Heath would actually quite like Checkham Mead. One can understand that. Partly the issue is certainly in my view that Haywards Heath Town Council have not stepped up to the mark like District Council has. And I think that if you look across at Horsham, I think of investing 15 million in the capital. I don't know if anyone else is aware of that figure, but that to try and bring it into the modern era, and that of course has cinema alongside the theatre, which again is thought to be a model which none of the current cinema operators will now engage with. So I think that we have here something that we must recognise will only be valuable as a community, but it's very valuable as a community asset. It's something viable, actually the community is prepared to fund it, and a lot of that is going to fall on this group here. I would certainly wish to see it continuing to support it. And just a minor point within that, we take no rent. As I understand if I look at the accounts for this building, and clearly if we operated a different business model on it, we would get rent coming into the council for that. I think that we should reflect that in the figure which we quote for the public as the investment that we are making in this. And I've no idea what the rent would be, but I guess it would be in excess of 100,000 a year. And that would, if you like, that would give an indication of the amount of resource which we are prepared as the town council to put into this asset and show value.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to hear your support. It'd be interesting if we did that exercise, but I'm pleased that it is seen as such a valuable asset. It is. I believe we've got the best team in at the moment that we've ever had in there, and they're working really hard to ensure that things are growing and opportunities to be slightly more diverse in what we offer is growing as well. So.
Yeah. If I could just comment on the heating allowance. Speaking as someone who got roasted in when the mayor wasn't available, it's a pretty hot environment. And if you don't understand what I'm talking about, Mark still.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to speak, Councillor Eddy?
Yes, please. Thank you, Chair. Yes, no, I'd like to concur with what Councillor Gibson just said. I think it's really important that we really maintain the community asset. Can I ask one question about this year that's gone, 24-25? In your opinion, how well has it gone?
In my honest opinion, we have had a massive shift in staff. It has been an incredibly difficult year for one reason, all with staffing. Everything has gone up. We have had 3 changes in finance officers, and our treasurer has had major heart surgery. I am optimistic we've done really well because the amount of income that we've generated, our expenditure at times has been higher than I would like, just to make the business viable and keep it going. So I'm optimistic it will be good, but I'm not sure how we're sitting on that scale at the moment.
Okay. But it was a good Christmas.
Superb pantomime, the best ever, most profits. We're already up on figures for the panto for this year. We've already sold £32,000 worth of tickets for Christmas 25. So the trajectory is really there. The cafe is an absolute godsend because any profit comes in, as I just said, comes back into it.
Yeah.
And that is going from strength to strength to strength. And we're looking at opportunities, lots of community groups back in, lots of people reserving tables in the cafe to have community meetings and things like that. So it has a lovely, busy, hive feel in there. There's lots of people hot desking in there now for work because they're around other people, because the Wi-Fi is good. So we're hitting quite a few boxes for different people.
Thank you. Just one last point. Sorry, Max. Ian mentioned, 100 value for rent, but obviously it's 170,000 total commitment from this council. So just to illustrate.
I'm not going to say this out loud. Thank you, Councillor Eddy.
Anybody else? No. Oh, it's Councillor Whittaker.
No other members.
No, that's please proceed.
Thank you. Yes, Minister. It was really just some observations. Having been connected with Chequermead for about over 10 years, it's an incredibly difficult business model running not just a public, but the cost of running any public is incredibly high. To go through the figures, to go through the line by line budget, everything seems excessive compared to other forms of your life. So it's a public building, it's almost off the scale. They're really, really expensive, and particularly in the inflationary period that you mentioned, Chair. And the effort to run it's lots of moving parts, many moving parts. The income turnover of 567,000. think of all the tickets you've got to sell to get that income, you know, the production, the different productions, the programme, you talk about the marketing costs, yeah, they've gone up, but in tough times, you've got to market really, really hard. Just increase your marketing budget. The programme is better when they came out Christmas or just after Christmas. The amount of bookings that you've increased, clearly increased from, you know, a year, certainly 2-3 years ago. You know, testament to how hard you're working. On the account side, I know that the external auditors did the report that we've got to an external audit report. Richard Bastos and RPD from Crawley. They have been checking into auditors for 7 or 8 years now. Excellent medium-sized firm. They're almost financial consultants as well as just external auditors. I know Chequermead has an excellent relationship with them. They're very familiar with council as well. So, and their advice through the audit process is always given, and the relationship I know is really, really good. And finally, I just want to thank the trustees, you know, particularly the town council, well, mainly town council trustees. I think it's 3 external independents.
Yeah.
You all work incredibly hard, all voluntary, nobody takes a penny out of it. And I know that this year, you know, you've self-chair, you know, as well as particularly, I think Councillor Hughes, you know, have put in a ridiculous amount of hours that you shouldn't be having to do to almost operationally run, you know, the centre. And it, you know, I think in terms of looking forward to the future, there should be a better operating model, you know, just for efficiency, for management, from this town council. You know, you're leader of the council, and you're also chair of Chequermead Trustees, and you also got a full-time job, and you also got other commitments. So, you know, we have to be realistic. And, you know, I've been a trustee in the past, and I know the effort that goes in, and it's as well as other organisations, particularly Chequermead. It's a very difficult business to run. So I just want to thank you, all the trustees, big vote, you know, for all the effort. You know, hopefully, and I know that was really good. You know, and I fully back Chequermead, and you know, potentially with you know, devolution on the horizon. I think, you know, there could be, as Councillor Gibson said, potentially, you know, sort of backing or concrete backing financially with a judicial authority. You know, hitherto we haven't had any district council money in Chequermead. I know when it started, they did put some money, but it's only the town council that sort of runs it. And I think there should be good opportunities to financially expand the income streams and grant applications, etc. But thank you to everybody involved. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Councillor Whittaker. I'm sure all the councillors echo your words.
Come back, please. Thank you. Thank you. I will pass that on to the committee, because they do work really hard, and we have worked very hard last year. And you're right, we have been more operational than any of us would have liked to have been. However, we've done it because it's worth it. The whole building is worth it, the people are worth it, the town is worth it. We are very much looking at the roles within the theatre now to have a more sustainable model where the trustees are back to that high strategic level and supportive, and we are getting there. I genuinely believe we've got a really strong member of the staff that's on maternity leave coming back in June, and I think then we're really back to full power, and I think that's where we can really push and strive. So our year is really 25-26. Thank you.
Please retain the chair.
Somebody might get in Councillor Barton, or it's got to be known.
Oh, sorry, yes, we should recommend the this report. Let's wait for. We're just going to end by recommending that this report be noted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret, stepping in there. Right, item 10 on the agenda. I'll put my other on that. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 policies up there. We're actually going to take that down to 7. We're going to actually remove the toil and overtime policy and defer that to the next meeting in order to resolve a couple of clarification on some wording in the document. So it's been raised by some staff members. So we're just going to take that one off the table. And I've looked to take all 7 of them en masse for approval. I'd like to propose that we adopt those, or re-adopt them actually, because they were all last year. May I have a second?
Right, a second.
Thank you. Councillor Barnett, thank you.
Question on one of them, which
Yes.
is the asbestos.
Yes.
I probably failed to spot something in trying to read this and reread it. But should asbestos be found, are we saying that we should get appropriately trained people to come and investigate, look at it, deal with it, whatever else? Because it just talks about putting warnings up and going out of the room and contacting the property manager. That's as far as I got with it, really. But who do we get to come and attend to whatever the issue is, or would that depend on what it would be, I suppose?
I think 5.1.
Sorry for not being warning you.
Is there- Which bit were you reading?
I trawled through this one this afternoon, so it was unfortunate timing. No, overall, wet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should asbestos be found, does it say what should be done? Doesn't say anything about, apart from putting a warning up and saying don't go anywhere near it, but that's.
I think, so this is just about if we locate any, and it's whether it would be disturbed. Because, you know, there is asbestos in this building and it's left firmly
In most
alone.
places.
Yeah. So, if, what's she saying here?
And you must have an asbestos register, because you have to, if anything, so
Yeah,
that covers if anyone comes in, doesn't it? Which is a
Yeah.
separate thing to the policy, the
Yeah.
asbestos
Yeah.
register.
Absolutely. I mean, this is just talking about the management survey. Is there something, so what do you believe something is missing from this policy?
Yes, I mean, should any be found that is
Yeah.
disturbed and requires immediate attention, what do you do?
We would follow.
Apart from close the room down and go away, which is as far as it
Yeah,
goes, and then.
we would follow professional advice and deal with
Yeah.
it. That's what we would do.
Yeah.
Obviously, none of us is an
It doesn't say that.
Okay,
And
so.
it's fine for now, but it's something we need to look at really, I suppose.
Okay, so as we don't have a point on this one,
Yeah.
we'll remove this one and we'll bring this one to the next
Okay.
meeting. And we'll defer this one, so you can have a look at adding that line in.
Here we go. So did you read on the policy statement, Steve? Councillor Barnett?
Identify within the
Because
relevant.
the policy statement talks about, which is section 6, talks about, where it's assessed as posing a risk to health, it will be, so far as is reasonably practicable, removed or encapsulated, referencing HSE A8, enclosing undamaged asbestos materials to prevent impact damage. Where it is assessed as being in good condition, this will be generally left in situ and managed. Implementing appropriate control measures to reduce the risk of exposure to people from asbestos fibres. Implementing a system of monitoring any remaining asbestos at intervals determined by the risk assessment. Where, have I said that one already? Where removal or encapsulation is not reasonably practicable, then access to the asbestos will be managed to reduce the risk of exposure as low as is reasonably practicable. We go on to say carrying out a refurbishment and demolition survey as an integral part of the planning process for any refurbishment or demolition works carried out at any of our owned or managed or occupied premises. Planning, managing, delivering and monitoring all work that could result in the release of asbestos fibres. In the case of works that involve the removal or other activities that may lead to the release of fibres, these will only be carried out by organisations licensed to carry out such works by the Health and Safety Executive. We will follow the HSE EM1, what to do if you discover or accidentally disturb asbestos during your work procedures to reduce the risk of exposure of people as low as is reasonably practicable in the event of an unplanned and or uncontrolled release of fibres. Providing,
Are you happy with
I said,
happy?
you identified the one which I missed, which is where it says
Okay.
about using a
So we're putting this policy back on the table.
listed contractors.
Yeah.
That was the bit that was.
Okay.
that I
Brilliant.
couldn't find.
okay,
That's
Thank you.
fine. Are you
Thank
happy
you.
with that?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, Councillor Gibson, was it Gibson or Gibbs? Gibson, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I'll just, well, it's a different point to, we finished.
Asbestos
I
policy.
don't want to talk about asbestos now.
Which policy are we looking at?
I've got 2 points. One is on trees.
Yeah.
I could find no reference to ancient woodland, which I think is worth a mention. Simply because there are a number of specific legislation issues around ancient woodland in increasing.
do you,
Now, my question is whether or not the council owns any ancient woodland, because my access to Parish Online is provided by Worth Parish Council. It doesn't tell me what the assets of East Grinstead Town Council are, but I can see that there is a fair amount of ancient woodland within the immediate vicinity, for instance, of this building.
it's the same.
And also massively over there, but I wasn't counting that because it's mid-Sussex.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think we have ancient woodland.
I don't know if we have any ancient woodland. Does anybody else know if we have any
I don't believe there's ancient,
ancient woodland?
I don't believe we've got ancient woodland. I can't say woodland. Woodland. I'm not going to say it again.
It's possible.
It's
But
possible.
I'm not sure.
Because that's all mid-Sussex.
Dennis or Rec?
No, not Tennyson Rec. Do it.
Is it?
I could see that. And it's only things this side. It seems that the other side is completely denuded all around the bubble, which is not a big counts anymore.
I think when the tree surgeon came out, that tree survey, and all that was done and completed, that would have denoted that you had anything.
I don't think, I
There's most of it, it's
observed
not-
that-
we are, I think we're on the edge of everything else, but not ours. Councillor Whitaker, are you aware if we've actually got any ancient woodland?
Woodland.
Within our own,
No.
within our own,
In the parish.
Yeah.
with,
In the parish, yeah.
With town policy.
Yeah.
Not,
Yeah.
yeah, but we, I don't know of any, and when I said it,
We do.
we did a lot of tree stuff, and I don't,
Did do a tree survey.
Yes.
We
and it's all
are
positive,
yeah,
where we've done a tree.
and
yeah.
they were plotted as opposed to in a woodland.
Everything we own is plotted.
Yeah.
And, regularly, surveyed,
Yeah,
yeah.
Done.
I'm not aware of any.
Let's not delay approving this.
Okay.
It's not-
All right, so, sorry, I beg your pardon. I do beg your
Much
pardon.
more interested, and it's, I've had occasion to attend a number of Muslim burials recently. I just wondered what you know, sort of what is you know, if someone wanted to have a Muslim burial within the cemetery, then there seemed to be no sort of reference to that or anything. Has anybody thought of this before? It's certainly going to happen in the future if it hasn't happened so far. Usually, for example, there are Muslim sections
So
of
consecrated ground. Yeah.
cemeteries around, and there's holy Muslim cemeteries.
I
I have to
believe,
say, when you go and see them, then the number which fit in the pandemic are just amazing, all those graves altogether, because of course we burn people, so you just, you know, they're gone when you see all these little hunts.
I believe our cemetery is unconsecrated, which means any denomination can be buried there.
That was my assumption,
Yeah.
and I just
I think
wondered
that's-
whether or not
Yeah.
There are certain sections that are consecrated and certain sections that are unconsecrated.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor, that's a really good point.
And it's interesting that I'd always thought that a Muslim grave could only hold one individual, but it turns out that you can, they do bury deeper, so that you can have two. which I didn't thought was contrary to the religion. Turns out that it's not. I mean, I think that it is something we should give thought of for further consideration in terms of, if not specifically Muslim, then certainly a comment about other faiths.
Okay. Councillor Peacock.
Going back to the asbestos, so I'm assuming, very simple question, very simple. I'm assuming all the employees are trained on asbestos and how to do it, and if do they need any retraining for this new policy, or is it a continuation? And if they do need training, they will receive it in due course.
Yes.
That's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Alison will be very on top of that.
Can I move to approve the policies? Thank you very much. Okay, right, item 11 is devolution. This is to fill you in, I think some of you have had communication. A conference has been held, it was last Thursday, week ago today, 20th of March. And presentations were made by Catherine Hall from Mid Sussex District Council, Paul Marshall from West Sussex County Council. Mid Sussex District Council were clear that they would be running business as usual for the next 3 years until they were dissolved in favour of the proposed unitary authority. West Sussex County Council were aware that there may be opportunities to support support to be provided by town and parish councils, but this was yet to be defined. I think we're all up to date with that statement. A working party is being formed in order for East Grinstead Town Council to agree their priorities and desires in relation to devolution opportunities, which could then be taken forward in partnership with both Haywards Heath and Burgess Hill Town Council, where appropriate. The 3 towns, we have a meeting booked 2 weeks' time to be confirmed in a way to work in a cohesive way moving forward. To receive nominations for membership of the working party and to resolve the form, this will come to, we're hoping to get the working parties together to take to full council. I know I've sent an email out to everybody to see what working parties they would like to go to, so I'll be formulating with that with Sam next week and contacting people, and then we'll be doing a working party to go to full council for approval for devolution. Would anyone like to mention anything about devolution? I think do we have a bit more information? But there's definitely opportunities that potentially we can take, and I know that Councillor Odie, Councillor Barr and Councillor Whitaker were on the 3 town meeting, date to be confirmed either 23rd or 30th of April, and see how we can work cohesively with them. Okay, and yes, of course. We need to go that quicker. My head's back down here.
You're gone and on.
I don't. Yeah, come on.
I think that we should highlight that there's 2 distinct things really. One is Devo and the other is local governance review. And I think the thing about Devo is that the big issue has to be how far away decision making is moved from communities. I mean, you know, that needs to be stressed absolutely. There must be strong community in order to have strong community voices. Now that isn't necessarily a problem for the towns, which I think have that, but it's certainly a problem for many of the villages. It's just not. So I don't know. I mean, maybe there should be, you know, one of the things that perhaps this working group. I don't think I particularly want to be a member of the working group. So I think I can see conflict with other roles coming in immediately.
But you'd be happy to provide knowledge where you can.
I do sit across, for instance, a lot of the councils in the north of the district, and I think that there might be benefit of a wider grouping in terms of, you know, sort of that. So, for instance, you know, sort of rather than just thinking East Grinstead Town Council, you would think about the north, the sort of the above the AMP group in terms of the way that it's represented as a group. Because remember, a lot of this is going to be about where economic spending goes, and all of those other things. And then the other thing is about assets. And I one of the things which I personally would like to see any group focus is the large amount of money, of developers' money, which is held at various levels. And one of the problems is that because Mid Sussex shied away from including a SIL policy, then it means that if we had SIL policies, then the money that the developers paid on SIL, which I think is roughly about 25% of the total money that would all be sat in our coffers. I think Mr. Chambers would have be very happy with that situation. I rather suspect, because if you add up the S106 sheets for the town council, it's a large sum of money. And why shouldn't we be earning the interest on that, rather than at the present time Mid Sussex? But when Mid Sussex goes, it goes out to this body, which is a long way. And I did raise that in the question of the leader, and he sort of dodged around it, but he did recognise that there was an issue there. That where S106 monies is for local community infrastructure, formal sports in the parish and so on, then logically it should sit with us. Yeah. So when we want to spend it, it's there, and you don't have to go and bang on the door and sort of have a cabinet approve, something which should be ours to spend in our decision making. It's simply an accident of history that the 2013 version of the district plan was turned down on the basis that we hadn't put enough houses in for Crawley or for Brighton or somewhere, and then SIL was in that and it was taken out. Other councillors may know the reasons for that more than I do, because I can't understand that. And I know officers that are entirely resistant to it going back in. And if anybody looks at the Treasury income from Mid Sussex District Council, I think you will find the reason why.
Interesting. Thank you. Councillor Long.
Yes, at the meeting that was held a week ago, one of the things mentioned there quite specifically, I can't remember who by, that's the trouble, was suggestions of getting clusters of around the towns, ones who've got a common interest around a common interest around Haven, as one of the sort of potential sort of organisation groups to look after local things afterwards. Focused on the town, because the town would have the resources, the staff and all the rest, and the main interest probably, but means possibly of some of the surrounding parishes actually getting a little bit of a better voice than they otherwise would have, based on the geography of being around East Grinstead, around being
Thank you. Yeah. Interesting times. Okay. Anything else?
It's kind of on the same point. Councillor Gibson's point about liaising with more wider reaching areas, perhaps further north. I'm guessing you're thinking Worth and Cooling Down and that kind of.
And Turner's Hill, for example.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at things like highways and S106 monies and things like that, I think a lot of our priorities are probably the same, particularly with current development that's going on at the minute in that sort of area. So, if I don't know how you work it, but if there is some kind of way of getting that to surround the parishes to bang that drum about SIL and S106 money and things like that, I think we'd be on the same page a lot of things. It's not promotional money.
West Sussex also doesn't use SIL, does it, though?
It varies across it. I mean, there are some areas, I'm not quite sure exactly which ones, but there are some of the districts do have SIL. It's a very mixed picture. And that will be a problem as they move forward, depending on how they draw it back. But there'll be many problems as we move forward, not least of which, I mean, it's a standardised council tax across the whole thing. It's us that are going to suffer on that. Ours will go up while others will come down. Or maybe they will just all go up.
Or go up. Or go up. Some by more, some by less.
Councillor Peacock.
I'll just reflect. I mean, when you look at West Sussex now, the management of certainly highlights and other aspects of what West Sussex delivers is split between the north area, central and southern. So as we go into the next couple of years, establishing the unitaries, I think councillors and officers alike have the opportunity to lobby for something akin in this area. It's not necessarily down to the town council. There's a function of capability with the new unitary to take in the opinions, as happens now with the North region, but maybe has a bit more punch and deliverability in terms of roads, etc. So I don't think we necessarily have to rely on the town council to create an entity for itself. It's an opportunity, we need to look at it, but also we need to lobby those that be that will create the new unitary to try and build that into the new system. It's going to be around for a long time, that's what I said.
Can I come back on that?
You
Because that's
may.
a really good point. You've only got to look at the real road problem in this area, which of course is the Belbridge Junction. Understand that it's because of the boundary of so many councils
Yeah.
that it just does not get sorted. And I ran a written question on the chaos that we had a fortnight ago. We had Surrey, Surrey had, a planned roadworks. We had emergency, and never the train would make. Neither gave way, and the whole area became extensive. And then, of course, the boundary of drawing is not going to take account of things like that. So we will still be stuck with things like that at the end of it. It's really
Thank you. So I'll put my head down to the next agenda item. Miss anyone else around the table? Is there anything else on that item? Thank you. I'm going to move on then to item 12. Thanks everyone for their thoughts and comments, because it's going to be a really interesting time. I think it's going to come up at many meetings there. Item 12 is the business plan update. We're now looking, as we are for the devolution working group, we're actually looking for a working group as well for the business plan. Again, that will go through the council because we'll be looking at that. So I've asked everyone to let me know their interest of working on that. So interesting to them, we'll be able to put the two together because one will feed into the other. So it's going to be really important to see who wants to sit where and move things forward, because as we know more about devolution, the business model may change and move, and so so we're sort of sharing the load, and then obviously certain things will dovetail in. Is there anything else you want to add to that? And, no, I think that no. Yeah. Okay. Does anyone like to say anything about the business side of it? Councillor Whitaker.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah, I'd just like to say, going back to Tuesday night, the annual town meeting, I thought the presentation, by the town mayor and the content was absolutely superb. We're not seeing anything like that. It really looked very professional and very slick. So well done to everybody that's been involved in it.
Thank you for that. I now feel that I should have done that at the beginning. Okay, so thank you all for your time this evening. Our next meeting will be on Tuesday, the 24th of June, at 7 p.m. And I'll close this meeting at 7:54. Please stop recording.